Alrighty, y'all. Welcome to Joe's Retro World. Today, I'm going to help you out to not make the same mistakes that I've made when modding your system, okay? Now, today we're going to be talking about the GDEMU disk emulator drive that you can purchase from Amazon or eBay. And it replaces your disk drive in your game system, okay? It replaces it and it tricks your motherboard of your Sega Dreamcast into believing that it's still there and that it's just reading the games as normal. Okay, but what it is doing, it's reading the games off of your SD card. So I have here is a 128 gigabyte micro SD card, same kind that you would have in the cell phones. And this is just a little adapter because this is the old style SD cards, you know, the old fat ones we used to have. And that just inserts into your disk emulator, and that plays your games. Depending on the size of this card, you can have up to 400 games. Okay, now this one has 162, so it's just beautiful. I love it, and I can play all day, and it plays just regular. There's no less quality. It loads up fast. It works like it's supposed to. You know what I'm saying? It does everything great. But I had some issues because I bought cheap equipment. Now, when you buy cheap equipment, you get what you pay for. And that's a saying, and that saying is there for a very important reason because you pay for what you get. You buy something cheap, it's cheap. It's not gonna work right. It's just not gonna be like the expensive stuff. So I learned the hard way. Okay, I learned the hard way with a cheap GDEMU, disk emulator. I learned that also getting the 3D printed trays, it makes a difference too. It really does make a difference. Now, this one right here would have worked, and it's great because this one comes with a little SD card extender, so that when you close your Sega Dreamcast or when you have it there, it doesn't look like a big old gaping hole, and that's just there because laser, your laser disk drive, it fills in this whole space right here of your. Let me just take this shell off. It's just easier to show. It fills in this whole space right there. Okay, so it fills that whole space in, but once you remove it, you have this big gaping hole, and you'll be able to see all the inside of your game system. And so to cover that up, they have various 3D printed models, trays that you can insert, and it'll fill in that gap. Well, unfortunately, I couldn't use this gray one because my GDMU does not work like it's supposed to. Now, when it's a correct one and it works, you would have it hooked up just like I do now, and you have your SD card in here pushed in, and you just leave it like that. Now, if you have multiple SD cards, that's the only time you're gonna take your SD card in and out, okay, and to switch for different games that you want, okay. So if I would have had a 500 gigabyte or even a 1 terabyte SD card, and then I could have had every single game that Sega Dreamcast has ever made on it. But this is only 128 gigabyte SD card, and so it has 162 games. So if I want maybe all the sports games, then I would have another card. That's maybe another 128 gigabyte card, and that might have another 162 games, which are all sports games. But I don't like sports games. I'm not a big fan of them. I love fighting games, shooting games, stuff like that. So I had some guy on eBay made me this card with just 162 games of my favorite stuff, and one of them was the Marvel versus Capcom line. So I have every single Marvel Capcom line game ever out there for Sega Dreamcast that they ever had made. Okay, all on this card, plus like Star Wars and Tom Clancy's other games and stuff. So I love it. It's great, but the mistake that I did was buying a cheap GDEMU card from eBay. I already got it inserted. It works like it's supposed to, somewhat. But I paid the price for getting a cheap one. And I paid $55 for it plus shipping. And I would never do that again. I should have gone to Amazon. I should have bought one for $110, $105, $120. There's various ones on there from different companies, and they make great products, and I should have got one of them. I would have been way better off. I had so many problems. The first problem I had was that the pins didn't line up. because when you remove your, your disk drive, this pins right here, they're supposed to line up perfectly when you put your disk emulator back in, but they don't line up perfect. I had to move it back over half a millimeter this way, half a millimeter this way, until finally I got it to work right like it's supposed to. Then when I turn it on, instead of just letting me leave the card in, I have to pull the card out, turn the system on, let it boot up, takes a few seconds, and then when it comes to the menu where it shows, the file settings and the controller over here so you can play your game, then that's when I insert the card into the slot right here, and then it'll start reading, like if it's like a disc is in there, like if I close the lid and the disc starts to read the game, it'll start working properly, okay? And I can push A, and then all of a sudden my GDEMU menu will pull up after a few minutes, because it takes for it to read all those ROMs on that card. It takes a little bit. Sometimes about a minute and a half, almost 2 minutes. Sometimes you got 500 games on there. It's gonna take almost 3 minutes before it finally loads that screen. Okay, so don't ever get scared if it just takes too long to load. But I'll show you that in a little bit, what I'm talking about. But that was one of the issues that I had with buying this cheap GDEMU card, okay? And the other issue I had was that I wasn't able to use this 3D printed cover right here. I wasn't able to use that with the SD extender right here, because this SD extender allowed me to plug it up like this to the GDEMU, and then right here, this goes into here, okay? And I couldn't even get it to go into there like that, because I had those pieces of plastic, 3D printed plastic, that I had to shade with a file just to get this to go in. So that was another issue. I got cheap 3D printed parts from eBay, and that's another mistake. Stop getting stuff from eBay, okay? So once you do that, then you can go ahead and get it with the screws that it comes with the kit, and it pops in just like this, okay? And so now it looks like that. So you don't have this big old gaping hole from when you remove your laser drive, okay? But unfortunately, it wouldn't work for me like that. I have to, like I said, I have to turn the game on without the SD card, and then let it start up and get to that menu, and then insert the SD card, and so then it'll read it as a game and it'll start playing. So that really sucked. That really sucked that it wouldn't work properly for me, and it was doing that. So I said, okay, so now I got it working, and I have to do that, pull it in and out for it to work. I still wanted this hole to be closed up, and I also wanted for the airflow to be proper like it's supposed to. The air needs to be sucked in through over here, and there's a little, you can see right here, there's a plastic right here, and this protects your disk drive and everything over here from the heat of this power board. And so it sucks air through here, and then it goes through here behind your controller parts, and then it finally goes out to the little fan right here blowing on the side of your Dreamcast. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll go ahead and order a other 3D printed little tray. This one right here. And this one was supposed to be like this, allowing for the proper airflow to simulate that was in there, and also have a place to hold my SD card. But when I installed it, the top part right here, this one, it went in, okay, went into like this, but it doesn't fit perfect. Had to end up cutting right here with a knife because there was some pieces just there, and over here it just looks ugly. I had to shave it a little bit with a file just to make it fit properly. So yeah, I had that headache right there, okay? Cheap 3D printed parts. And some of y'all are gonna be saying, well, you have to do that to a lot of 3D parts. Well, if I would have just got this from like Console 5, no, they would have done this already for me. It would have been fitting perfect. It would have came great. But because I got off of eBay cheaply, I couldn't even use the back. I could only use the front. Yeah, that's the other issue, okay? The other issue with this. Alright, so I went to get this tray and I went to install it, and my GDMU board was supposed to screw onto it. I was supposed to get that board, place it here, and mount it to these screw holes right here, and then there was a third screw hole here that will allow me to mount it to the original hardware board, motherboard, right? Okay, so when I put it on there and I put it back in, I couldn't put the lid back on. Then it wouldn't let me align the GDMU board. It wouldn't align. And all of a sudden, when I finally did get it to close, I heard some noise of electrical shock through here. I was like, oh shoot, I'm frying my Sega Dreamcast. What is going on? So there I go, tearing it all apart. I pulled this out. I took the board and I put it back. Looked like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? Turns out this thing sucks. This is just too fat. It just doesn't line up the board like it's supposed to. The board already had issues with not lining up. So between that board and this, cheap parts, I almost pulled my hair out. So yes, yeah. So don't do that. Don't get cheap parts. Now, with this other 3D printed one, this one was actually good. This one was actually good, okay? I'm not complaining about this one. I'm just complaining about this other companies, okay, that I got off of eBay. This one was actually pretty good. It really was. And I hate that I can't use it. Now, it did come with a little bracket right here, and you can actually see it. There's a bracket right here. I don't want to take it out because I wanted to leave it plugged in. But it did come with a little bracket that helps you hold this tray in. Now, the GDMU did come with little feet. I don't know what I did with them. Oh, here they are. It did come with its own little feet. Okay. To push on the bottom of the board to push them in so that it sits in there, you know, it sits in there with its little feet and stuff. But I didn't use them because I was going to use these 3D printed trays. So it worked out. It worked out good that I had, you know, that tray. I could still use that little part, and it's good because it's in there secure. It's nice. It ain't gonna go nowhere, and it's working like it's supposed to somewhat. But yeah, so I was still able to use the good 3D printer half of the piece. Okay. All right. So now let's move on to another issue that I had. Okay. So once I got that, I figured that out. I was able to go ahead and put my stuff back together and start using, you know, my Dreamcast. So yeah, the moral of the story is do not buy cheap parts. Get good, reputable parts from good dealers, and you won't have any headaches, okay? I went on there on Amazon. I used the link that the good YouTubers use so I can get some batteries right here for my virtual memory unit. And I got a brand new virtual memory unit off of a Macari app also. And this seller was selling all his stuff. He had some great stuff. I paid $30 for this. I could have found it somewhere for $20, but it was brand new. It was brand new. It literally was brand new in this box. So I couldn't pass it up. I put some batteries in it, some new batteries, of course, you know, because it was super old from '99. They didn't work, you know, and he took the batteries out for himself. That's why they didn't have no batteries. So I had to buy batteries. So I got some good batteries. This was a 4-pack from Amazon for, I think I paid $6 for it. Then I wanted to go ahead and change the battery on the inside for the memory. So I desoldered it and ordered the little, you know, the little thing that holds the battery in there, the memory card. And this has 3 prongs, and you just solder it back to the original hose. This I got off of Amazon. I spent the money on some good parts, because I learned my lesson with those. So I was able to desolder and then solder this back. And make sure you use flux when you're soldering. It's very important. Flux is what helps the solder go to the metal. It attracts it to the metal, okay? So make sure you use flux if you're doing any soldering. And over here I also got the rechargeable battery from Amazon, and I did use their link. And this is a $6 for one rechargeable battery. This is a ML 2032 battery. It looks the same as these CR 2032s, identical to it, same size, everything. The only difference is these are not rechargeable, and this was rechargeable. This was $6 for four. This was $6 for one. Okay, so you're gonna pay for good shit. you're gonna have to spend money on good shit, y'all. Okay, so make sure you get good shit. Okay. But I wanted to go ahead and show you what it looks like. I'll show you, man. Let me just disconnect these cords real quick. Okay. Those right there so they don't fall away. But I don't know if you can see. It's kind of hard. Let me come over here to the camera. And let's see. There you go. Yeah, you go. Okay, there you go. So you can see how it was supposed to fill the whole space in, okay? It was supposed to fill the whole space in, y'all. I'm trying to focus it right. There you go. It was supposed to fill this whole space in so that the airflow would be correct, but it's not. It's not. But it's fine. It's fine. The game works like it's supposed to. So you're probably wondering what this is. What this is right here is whenever you put in this GDEMU this emulator in, because it is not pulling any extra power through the power board, this little resistor right here gets really hot, and it'll create heat in your system, and it will actually drain the life of your system. It'll ruin it. So you have to desolder this one right here, take it out, and I had showed you all that in my modding video, but I had so many problems I just deleted everything. So once I desoldered it and got it out, I just taped it to my lid. I just put it in my lid for safekeeping, so it's always going to be here. So just in case I've ever want to put their disk drive back in, I can put it back in, you know, with no problems. But let me go ahead and show you what I mean by how I have to use this cheap disk emulator. Give me 1 second. Okay, y'all. Now to show you this, I have to hold the camera, and so it's gonna be a little shaky and it won't be perfect, but it's the only way. So bear with me. Okay, so I took the lid off, and I wanted to go ahead and show you how this emulator is supposed to look like when you turn it on. Now, when you turn it on, there's a light right there. See it? That little light flashes one time. That lets you know that power is going through it and that the board is working correctly. Now, without the card in there, you saw the light flashes and it turned right off. Over here on my TV, the screen automatically went to the menu perfectly, quick, no questions asked. But if I was to turn it back off, insert the SD card, turn it on, you see that light? See how it blinked and then turned right back on? Now it's just staying on blinking. And if you look at the TV screen doesn't want to do nothing. That's the problem. That's the issue that I had. Okay, it just does not want to work properly. So I have to turn the system off, pull the card out, keep it pulled out, turn it on, and now it'll work fine. TV turns right back on. Turns on, gets signal, and it starts to play like you're supposed to. So now I can go ahead and push the SD card in. Now I'm going to push it in and watch the screen over here. Check it out. Please wait, and it flashed real quick. It said, please wait while we load the game. That's what it's doing. It's pretending now. It's thinking that it's reading a game. So now it's ready to go ahead and start, reading the game. So give me 1 second. Let me grab my controller so I can show you. And over here is where I keep all my controllers. This is my drawer full of controllers. I got Sega Genesis. I got Nintendo 64, PS1s, PS2, 3s, everything. Nintendo, Super Nintendo. Yeah, I got everything in there. Okay, so With my Sega Genesis controller, I move over and I push A to play. And boom. It'll start up just like it's supposed to. I have the volume off. Oh. Okay, sorry about that. Change the channel instead of the volume. So now it's loading. And it takes a little bit. It takes a while for that, you know, for it to read all those games that you have on there. And it's cool though because if I got the virtual memory card, okay, usually it pops up right here, GDMU on the little virtual memory card screen, but it didn't show that this time. But yeah, now you can see where I have all my games on there. You can go through, and of course I love my Marvel vs. Capcom. Just push A. It'll load like normal. Pretty fast. It's actually a little faster than reading the disc. Because when it's reading the disc, it has to go to 1, 2, 1, 2, and all that good stuff. This one is just already on 1, and it'll just read it. This is my JVC iHeart TV. But yeah, y'all, that's it. So that's how I have to play. Use my disc drive. Now, if it was a good, expensive one, that's cool. Look, you can see the Marvel vs. Capcom thing there. If I didn't use a cheap one over here, then I wouldn't have had no issues. I would have just had to close it, keep it closed, and turn it off and on, and that's it. I wouldn't have to pull the card out. But that's what I get for buying cheap shit. So don't buy cheap shit. Get good shit. All right, y'all. Till next time, love yourself and love your parents.